Okay, we've talked about all this incoming stuff that we have to handle and the unpredictability of it. You never know what you're going to get. Slightly more in control, I guess, when you're making an outgoing call. You're the initiator of the conversation if you can get hold of the person you want.
Yes.
But I've said it in the past. You might want to say I'm wrong. Isn't cold calling dead? No one takes a phone call anymore, do they?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the term, first of all, we wouldn't use that term anymore, would we?
Yeah.
Because I think that there is this, again, another new kid on the business block is this zero moment of truth. And I think thanks to the zero moment of truth, by the time we actually do get to speak to a potential customer, which is usually what Outgoing is all about, potential customer, they've already had several moments of truth with your organisation. And that's why it's known as the zero moment of truth. They didn't need the organisation to actually engage with them because people are they do their research now before, and so they put the inquiry onto the website, and then of course they receive a call. With one of our clients, when we know when they have watched, how much they've watched of a video on the website, and we know to make the call.
Right, okay.
Hey, thank you so much for watching our video. I'm now going to sell to you.
Right.
But of course there has been, yes, exactly. But there has been a level of engagement. So I think we as a as in the UK business world, I think we need to learn more about these zero moments of truth. I think we need to be making more of them, recognising that actually people they're much cuter, smarter, better than they used to be. They're much more savvy around when they do receive that, in inverted commas, cold call. That often it is on the back of them having been on your website and been searching around and that's the great thing about AI. Like, thanks to AI, they're feeding us that information. Hey, you've got a red hot prospect. Who's on your site right now? Why don't you pick up the phone and give them a call?
But inevitably, when you do, you get onto a reception person or a gatekeeper of some kind, and they say, "Oh, hello, it's Miss Jones' office. How can I help you?" What are the tricks? Any great tricks to get through that?
Yeah, we always say recognise that your gatekeeper at that point of them answering the phone, whether it's a receptionist, whether it's a VA or a PA or an EA, just recognise that they are your decision maker. They are going to make the decision whether or not to put you through to the decision maker that you want to speak to, who you want to sell to. And so it is about building that rapport and empathy and trust. It is around recognising that they are an incredibly important person. It's respecting the fact that, knowing his diary, as I'm sure you do so very well, when would you recommend a more convenient time to speak with him? I mean, just that question alone, as opposed to, is he in tomorrow? Well, he might be, try again. So even just tweaking your language, the way in which you speak to a gatekeeper, and respecting and recognising the fact that they actually do have a very important job to do, which is to keep people like you away from their boss. That's their job.
So do you recommend a system for keeping track of all that? Because you've spoken to that gatekeeper and they said, Tuesday at 3 is a good time. So you've got to remember to call back on Tuesday
Absolutely.
at 3.
Using that calendar, using that Outlook calendar is so important. And so that when you do ring back, first of all, you make sure that you've exchanged names, so that you've got Dolly's name now, so that when you do call back, you say, hi, may I speak with Dolly? Dolly speaking. Dolly, it's Marie here calling from First Impression Training. Do you remember we spoke last week and you recommended that I give John a call today?
Very
Here
nice.
I am.
Yeah, very nice.
And of course, she kind of feels, or he feels kind of more inclined, it's not to say it will happen every time, but they're more inclined to put you through because you're just kind of tweaking the way in which you're asking to speak to them, which is that you recommended I call back at this time. But we always say it isn't just about what you say, it's about vocally, it's about how you say it as well. So using rapport and empathy and trust in your tonality is really key when you're managing a gatekeeper, for sure.
Now, I've got a friend in the industry, a guy called Matthew Parker, who you may or may not have heard of, but he teaches and trains and guides companies who are trying to sell print, basically. And he's a big fan of scripts. I'm not so sure I'm a fan of scripts. Where do you sit?
Yeah, I think I said this in a previous episode, that my view is that I absolutely appreciate within the financial services environment, you definitely need to make sure that you're compliant, that you're speaking compliantly,
Yeah.
and obviously you're giving information that's compliant. But my concern about scripting is that it takes away that kind of human element, especially if you're new.
Yeah.
And of course, we know that people buy people first. Not just in sales, in customer service too.
Yeah.
I've got to buy into you before I'll buy into the information or the answer that you're giving me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same about script. I think, we refer to it as a recipe.
Right.
It's got to be your ingredients that go in.
Yeah.
But it should be more a recipe than a kind of structure of that's strict in a script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about techniques like NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and these things that try to get in the psyche of the person you're talking to, maybe categorizing them as a certain color or something like that? Do you get into that kind of thing?
Yes. Well, we always say, I'm a master practitioner of NLP.
Okay.
And we definitely, the kind of thread through all our trainings, whether it's sales or service, through all our trainings, there is definitely an NLP thread. And the reason for that, I don't want anyone to be wearing it like a label.
Yeah.
I've never needed to, so our clients definitely don't need to. But the reason for that is helping people to understand, like effective customer service, effective sales, whether it be in the field or whether it be over the telephone, whether it even be online, is kind of steeped in psychology. We are psychological beings.
Right.
And so actually it's really helpful to understand when you have, for example, a difficult message to convey to someone, recognize we all have these two metaphorical playing tapes in our brains.
Yeah.
But if you just get delivered a negative message, it will set your negative tape to roll. And so if you go on to give any good news, that good news will get delivered onto your negative tape.
Right.
So kind of reverse psychology makes sense. Make sure that you get your customers' positive tape playing first.
Yes.
So that when you deliver the bad news, guess what? It gets delivered onto the good news tape and it just softens the blow.
Yeah.
Now, that's a psychological perspective on delivering a negative message. So I am a big fan of NLP, naturally, because I am a practitioner, but we are very, very conscious and very consistent in when we're sharing a strategy and technique that we keep it very, very practical. This is kind of streetwise stuff that we're sharing with people, that they need to know that this little idea, this little strategy, this little technique, this little phrase, it works as brilliantly in the real world of business on the front line as it does, as I said earlier, in the ideal world of the classroom.
Yeah. So what I've learned from this is it's not just about a customer, an agent, and a telephone.
No.
There's a whole world around this. Things that overlap and interact from
So much.
even from the factory floor all the way up through the admin and the customer service departments and whatever.
Yes.
Everything's joined up.
Yes, it needs to be.
Yeah.
It needs to be.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing I'm taking away from this. You can't just isolate something.
No.
There's a whole world out there. It's been fascinating, Marie.
Yeah. Do you know what? I remember, many years ago now, reading it was a statement actually that was made to me, and I thought, my gosh, that is absolutely what it's all about. Customer service is not a part of the business; it's the heart of a business, and everyone has their part to play.
Yeah.
And I think that is absolutely what we've been discussing.
Just want to remember.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's been
you.
great. Hope you've enjoyed this. Let us know. Write some comments and tell us what you think. Should we do some more? Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
There you
Amazing.
go.
Amazing. Loved it.
Great.
Loved it.